Sure. So good morning to everybody out there. Good morning, Ziki. Good morning to our beautiful guest dressed in pink, and welcome to another episode of Empower Your Passion. Today we've got, not only is her suit beautiful, her face beautiful, her soul beautiful, but we have a guest today that is really special to us. She is not only a finalist for Icon South Africa and a ambassador for the brand, but she has just filled our hearts and our world with so much, and we're so excited to have you today. Hey Zeeks, are we just not so excited about our guest today?
I'm extremely excited to have her here. Katleho Paballo Makupu, how are you?
I'm good, Ziki. Hi, Rebecca. I'm really excited to be here today. I've seen all the other episodes and they're truly inspiring. And I think the fact that you bring in the knowledge and the insights that we've gained from Icon South Africa to all the other women within South Africa, it's really empowering.
Oh, thank you. And you know what? Perhaps I'm going to call you Pabby if you don't mind.
Oh, perfect.
But I just, thank you for saying that. I can just say that you are inspiring. You are absolutely inspiring. Zeeks, you were saying something about Pabs being
So she's very well accomplished, honestly. And I'm going to bring this up right now because I love what she's doing. And I wanted to explain a little bit more what her career and what her field is like. I believe you're an actual scientist. Is this correct?
Yes. So in terms of me, I'm an associate actuary. So in terms of an actuary and what they do, these are often individuals with a strong maths as well as problem-solving background or problem-solving skills. I studied actuarial science at university, did my honors, and then thereafter there are still a couple of exams that you need to do post your university career once you start working. And I think from the actuarial profession, it is still highly male dominated. At the moment, we have around 1,700 actuaries within South Africa, and 1,200 of those actuaries are actually male. So I think from my perspective, actuarial science, it's a great degree to have because I use it every day. I'm currently a reinsurance manager. And in terms of that, I use these skills in terms of pricing, reserving, determining capital, and ultimately the skill sets that we learn from this profession is how do you solve future problems today? How do you use data and analyze it to make sure that from a pricing perspective, insurance perspective, you're able to determine future occurrences to make sure that we're able to pay claims at the end of the day. So quite an interesting profession. You can venture into various paths. There is life insurance, general insurance, pensions, investments. So there's a lot that you can do with the profession. It's truly just up to you in terms of how do you use these problem-solving skills to link it to your passion and what your purpose is at the end of the day.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
But I mean,
mouthful. I'm like in shock, right? See, it's beautiful.
Absolutely. I'm just also stunned at the fact that she's a trailblazer within her industry and how she mentioned the numbers or the number of women that are in this industry and how she's just one of them. It's incredible. That's incredible.
So few. I mean, I never ever thought there was just so few in the whole of South Africa, you know?
Sure. But then these are all the people in the background crunching the numbers. So I think in terms of that, it is a good profession and it does need a lot more awareness in the industry as well.
Well, you're inspiring many women out there to sign up and get studying and get involved because we definitely need more women out there like you doing this. Absolutely.
For me, I just have one question. You mentioned, as I just said now, as a trailblazer within the industry that you're in, and also have been watching. I tend to stalk a lot of the Icon SA finalists, especially the ladies in the top 10. So forgive me if you see me crawling there, looking through your Instagram page. But I also am inspired by the work that you do. And I know that last year you were heavily involved in a lot of, and still even now, in a lot of initiatives that involve, empowering women. Please tell me a little bit more about that. I'm really interested in that, especially in the field that you are in as well.
So for me, in terms of what I'm doing regarding women empowerment, is that I am head of the outreach program for the Actuarial Women's Committee. So in terms of that, our main focus is ultimately on transformation and ensuring that there are more females within the actual profession. In terms of that, we do a lot of school visits, we go to universities, we have master classes, as well as mentorship programs to ensure that we support females in terms of passing the exams and ultimately qualifying as fellow actuaries. In addition to that, I'm involved with the Insurance Institute of Gauteng, where I'm part of the Roots and Wings program. I have a lovely mentee by the name Katleho. So in terms of her, we're working on her career path and career development, and hopefully in the next 1 or 2 years, she'll be able to be ready to take up that management role. And I think ultimately in terms of me and women empowerment, my purpose or my passion is women in leadership. So I do a lot of talks, especially on social media. And ultimately, I guess, at the end of the day, it's a matter of inspiring women to use their voices and to take up space, especially in historically male-dominated areas.
I love that. I love that. So you are doing, you're bringing about that change, which is so amazing. I mean, that is you, Pabs. Like Ziki said earlier, you're a trailblazer, and we love that about you. During Icon South Africa, not only were you empowering everybody around you and others, obviously, who are following you and followed your journey as well. But during that journey, and I mean, we can hear how busy you are and what you're actually doing. Not only did you do the Icon South Africa journey, but during your journey, you wrote a book. Now, while participating with us, I mean, that's something to really be so proud of, perhaps. And of course, I was blessed to read the book and read more about it. So tell us a little bit about that journey for you.
So for me, my Icon South Africa journey, or I'd say the ultimate theme for me was, why not now? So for me, there's always a moment where I'm procrastinating, I'll do it later, I'll do this. So Icon South Africa, the main thing I take out of it is, why not now? I guess it was 2021. I did a TED talk saying, ladies, let's stop sabotaging ourselves. 2021, I entered Icon South Africa. I was fortunate enough to be a semi-finalist. And through that journey, I met so many inspiring and empowered female. And they really got me thinking in terms of, I call myself an empowered female, but then what does that truly mean for me? Is it something that I do to be seen, or is it just something that I do because I'm passionate about it? And I feel that through this journey, I actually changed jobs or changed careers. And through this journey, it actually made me think, what is it that I want to do? What is it that I enjoy doing? And remember, it was still at the height of the COVID pandemic. Well, I think in terms of that, I did more talks on women in leadership, inspiring women to take up more senior roles. And I think ultimately because of my Icon South Africa journey, I remember sitting in my final interview, and one of the questions was, what is your 5-year goal? What do you want to achieve in the next 5 years? And for me, it was a matter of, I don't necessarily want to be sitting in front of each and every female for them to be inspired. How do I take the insights that I've learned from the women or the finalists here in Icon South Africa, put it in a book where we can easily distribute it without necessarily having to be there? So in terms of the book, it's called Breaking the Glass Ceiling, and it's quite an interactive journal. I also went through it, and it's quite tough questions when you ask you, who are you at the end of the day? It's all about getting clarity. Where are you headed? What are you doing to get to where you want to be? And what does success mean for you? So I think for me, it's a matter of, how do we change lives without necessarily having to be there physically? And for me, the book was exactly that. It was my 5-year plan that ultimately I decided, why not now? Why not write it now? There's no better time than the present. And then ultimately, it's a legacy that I can ultimately lead, because ultimately, when you talk about Icon South Africa, is women that are leading, women that are inspiring and empowering. And through that interaction and connection, that's how the book came about.
Sure. Please let me know when the next book comes about. You're taking over the world, girl.
Yeah.
Really.
Absolutely.
And you're absolutely inspirational. Just listening to you again, I just, oh, wow, I love it. Thank you. Thanks for being so inspiring, and thank you for changing lives, perhaps. And I'm honored to hear you, and humbled to hear you speak like that about the Icon South Africa journey, and just knowing that I was able to be part of that journey for you. Just really fulfills me. So thank you so much. You don't understand how many lives you are changing just by doing these little things. So thank you, and please, keep on going.
Thank you.
I'm just listening to her talking about how she basically set up this book where she was asking challenging questions. And I think a lot of the times we don't do that. And when we don't do that, growth doesn't take place. So for her to have that set up and actually encouraging women to grow and go forward from where they are is truly amazing.
And thanks for saying that. I just on that, somebody said to me the other day, in order to have change, we need to change. So if we don't change, nothing changes. And so just what you're saying now, Zeke, thanks for bringing that up. I heard, we was chatting to somebody yesterday, and they were like, we have to change in order to get that change. So I think that's what it is, asking those difficult questions and really changing within, and really going through that journey. So thank you. Zeke, you said you were stalking her the other day on social media or something.
Well, now as she said, we're friends, so it's not stalking anymore. I'm just happening to visit her.
Friendly stalking.
Exactly. I'm just really impressed by her social media presence. I struggle with, I guess, mixing my personal brand and my work brand. I try and keep them apart, but she does hers so seamlessly. And I just, if you have any tips on how I could actually do that. And I think it's important as an entrepreneur as well to have that brand. So I'm just wondering, how do you do it?
I think for me, when I think about social media, it's all about telling a story. So through, I guess, our African cultures, we're so used to telling narratives and stories, and social media is really a platform that we can use to do it. So for me, ultimately, when you talk about who is Babi or what is her brand, it's ultimately just that she's an individual that studied actuarial science. She's an individual that is passionate about women in leadership. And when you look at my page, that is ultimately what it's about. How do you inspire females to do more, to go above and beyond? And ultimately, how do you ensure that through what I'm doing, it's somewhat motivating them and I'm somewhat of a role model for them? And for me, social media is ultimately telling that story. If you are a female entrepreneur, you need to ask yourself, what are you trying to sell, or what do you want the next person to know about your brand? Let's say, for example, you're selling perfume. It's a nice, sweet, floral scent. It's a matter of what images are you using to market your perfume? Are you just putting the perfume there with a few captions, or are you tapping into people's senses, into the experiences, using fruits, using people, using someone just walking through the farm, some daisies all around, just creating that experience for the next person. So I think that's important. Telling that story, linking it to experiences, and ultimately consistency. It's so important to be consistent in terms of the posts that you put, because in terms of that, you're building a community, you're building a network. These are the people that are loyal to your brand and are going to be supporting you throughout your entrepreneurial journey.
Amazing.
Wow. Thank you.
And that brings us to the question of balance, because how you keep your balance between your life, your personal life and your work life. I mean, how do you actually just, strike that balance between your personal life and your work life? And I'm sure there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there like myself and Zeke and everybody watching that really could like do with your advice there.
In terms of that, a few years ago, I learned a word which I call fancy, which is called tilt. So a lot of people say tilting or prioritizing, but I prefer tilting because then it means that you're tilting from one area of your life to another area of your life. So for me, I don't believe that there is any balance. So in terms of that, to prevent myself from feeling guilty, it's a matter of tilting from work mode to personal mode to study mode as well. So I guess ultimately for me that work-life balance is about tilting. If you're still young within your career. You're going to be spending a lot of time and energy building your career. So if you're doing that during the week, it's a matter of on the weekends, you need to tilt. You need to take care of yourself. That is so important. Spending time with yourself, having the time to think, am I moving in the right path? Am I taking care of myself? Am I still working towards that ideal life that I wanted for myself? And then ultimately also in terms of that, having time to spend with family and friends. These are the people that enrich us. These are the people that support us. These are the people that form the foundation of who we are. So for me, work-life balance isn't necessarily just work-life balance. It's about tilting depending on where you are in your career or in your lifestyle.
And obviously self-love, like you're saying, is just really ultimately what it is. You know, we can't do one without the other. So Zeke, do you have another question? Maybe a final question for Paz?
I think, I think my final question is, oh man, you've been dropping so many gems, and I'm hoping that you have one final gem for us in terms of women who are starting out or who are already on the entrepreneurial journey. What advice would you have for them? What could you leave us with today that would encourage them to keep going?
First, let's say understand the sacrifices that you need to make to get to where you have to be. And with sacrifices, especially as an entrepreneur, it's not necessarily just money. It is your time. It is probably tears when things go south, you lose investments. But then ultimately, it's the utmost joy that comes out of it when you finally see your product on the shelf. So understand the sacrifices that you need to make. Again, going back to tilting within your career. If you're still in the early stages of your entrepreneurial journey, it means that you will be spending a lot of time and money building your organization. So understanding the sacrifices that you need to make so you're not feeling guilty about this time that you're spending. I'd say the second one probably be resilient. And to be resilient, it means that as an entrepreneur, you need to link your product or the services to what you're passionate about. So for me, I get a lot of remuneration from talking, especially talking about women in leadership or empowering females. So for me, if I have to spend time or investment doing the research, it's not that much of a burden because it's linked to something that I love, and ultimately means that I'm willing to wake up early to do the work because it's something that's linked to what I'm passionate about. I'd also say probably learn to forgive yourself for making mistakes, but then also at the same time, you need to learn from these mistakes. There's always going to be mistakes that we make, and if you learn from them and also forgive yourself for making mistakes, it's a matter of growing, taking that feedback and becoming a better businesswoman at the end of the day. And then lastly, I say probably get a coach or a business mentor. It's quite an important investment that you need to make for your career, for your journey, because they bring a lot of insights, whether it be financial, connecting you to the right suppliers. So get that business coach or business mentor to help you, especially early on in your entrepreneurial journey.
Well, I couldn't have said that better, hey, Zeke?
I agree. I'm actually sitting thinking, I can't wait for this series to come out so that I can actually go back, watch, take notes, and see if I can implement some of the stuff that Pabi has said. So yeah,
there's been many golden nuggets.
amazing.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Pabi. We are now running out of time, so we are going to say thank you for your presence and thanks for those golden nuggets. And hey, Zeke, that was beautiful. That was
Thank
really.
you, Pabi.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Pubs, and thank you for everybody watching today. We really, really hope that you enjoyed the show today. And from all of us at Icon, have a beautiful and blessed day.
Bye, everyone.